Three, two, one, now. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight on the Helpful Entrepreneur channel. I've got an old friend. We both went to high school together, Rick Denley, with me here on Hangout With, and we're going to discuss what he has been doing over the last few years, not that many years since high school, just a couple, I guess, and how he made the big jump from the corporate world into becoming his own entrepreneur journey, taking that on himself. So without further ado, let's get into it. Rick, tell us about yourself and what you've been doing the last few years and how and why did you become an entrepreneur?
Oh, great question, Rick. And thanks for having me on your show. This is brilliant. Great way to get back together. Yeah. So, for about 4 years now, I've been out on my own. I was in the corporate world for about 3 decades and, progressively larger, more responsibility throughout to the point where I was running multinational divisions in Canada. A few people know this. My background's actually in engineering. That's what I ended up coming out of school with. And Rick, having gone to high school with me, said, really? Really? You're an engineer? Well, yeah, I am. I kind of got my academics together post-high school, post-sports, we'll say, and paid a bit of attention. So I took that and went into the areas of automation and controls. So when you look at large organizations, and a lot of people will be familiar with Siemens and companies like that, but I didn't last in the engineering side too long. I spun off and went into sales. Sales was really where my heart was at. Loved working with people, helping solve problems, but needed the technical side too. So advanced through that to leadership roles throughout the different years to the point where I was actually running and heading up multinational divisions for Canada. So that in a nutshell is kind of I'll say how I climbed along through corporate to get to where I wanted to be, where I could lead more people. And that's, to get to your actual question, one of the reasons why I went out on my own is because I wanted to lead people. I wanted to help people grow to be the absolute best they could be. I learned that was what I love to do the most, is help people, and I use the term now for obvious reasons, punch through their growth ceiling and become the best that they can be. Sales has been my focus for organizations, but now more so I'm working with and coaching individuals as well to help them get to the point where they want to be. So that was 4 years ago. We're doing well now, a good mix of working some of the corporate gigs, but also some personal coaching on the front too.
Good. So what did you do 4 years ago? Probably 4 years ago and plus 1 day. Did you just wake up one day and say, all right, that's it, I'm out of here?
No, it's one of those things that I share. I know that I do keynote speaking as well. And I'll come out on stage and tell people, look, you've had something rattling around in your head for weeks, months, probably years, but you've never taken the initiative to do it. And that was how it was with me. For the longest period of time, the last few years before I did make the big move, I was always thinking about, geez, I think I want to go out on my own. I want to do my own thing. I want to do my own gig. And then finally, it was kind of a combination of things. And to be very honest with your viewers and myself here, I took on, after my last large corporate gig, I went contract with an organization, Canadian Professional Sales Association in Toronto, and started putting theirs up and working with them and growing on a contract basis. It came to the end of the contract, and I sat down with the president at the time, and really, to be honest, they didn't renew me. So I kind of had a little help in a way, but I kind of did it to myself too, knowing that, and then I went from permanent to contract to out, and I was done. And I said, now's the time. So it was a bit of timing as well to look into what I wanted to really do moving forward. And, there's never, what I'll say, a perfect time. And we just have to sometimes make that leap of faith and hope that the parachute appears.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love this because I get this asked all the time, where I have people, friends of mine and people that I coach along the way as well, that are working the 9 to 5 and they just don't know how to make or when to make that leap of faith into entrepreneurial, into entrepreneurship. Right. And done it, and that's amazing. And you've got a book to boot too. So we're going to talk about that. It's on this side. Oops, sorry, this side over here. We're going to talk about that later on.
Thank you.
But, that's really impressive to make that leap. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that in some ways I was fortunate, and I'll share with you what I mean. I was in sales all my life, or sales leadership, and really, of course, when you're out on your own, you're your own salesperson as well. Business just doesn't fall in the door to you. So I needed to, as well, sell myself and my services, and luckily I had that skill set. So there's transferable skill sets in what everybody does, and you need to take those and see and make sure that there's a bit of a common thread there. Not many people go from doing one thing to something completely different because you don't have any credibility or experience in it.
Right.
That's probably a good way to start. So we don't want to do that so much. But there are ways to address the things and the concerns that you have. The number one reason people don't make a move like I did into entrepreneurship is out of fear. And when we think about fear, we really have to address fear. I'll talk more about the book after because we address fear in the book too. How do you address fear? How do you acknowledge it and turn around that energy of fear and actually have it work in your favor? That's what's important when you're making a major change like this, and a few other factors.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. How long did it take? Okay. Yeah. Let's not actually even get into the book. I'm really, curious. I'm really anxious to, talk about that.
Sure.
So how did you get your first, so what did you do at first? Like, how did you get your first speaking gig? Like, how did you think, well, this is what I want to do?
Right.
And one time it's like, okay, my contract's not being renewed. Now what? Like, did you have the passion to help and motivate other people?
Well, it was interesting because the first thing, and I'm a very structured and organized person. So the first thing I did was what? I created a plan. You have to create a plan, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the largest things. Now, and I speak on stage. Flip me over to full screen for a second, right? I just want to show the people this behind me.
All right.
And
I can get here.
And one of the things that I talk about here when I'm on stage is that everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. I had a great plan, how I was going to grow and do everything like that. And then I took a punch in the face because it didn't happen that way. It didn't just fall in the door, and there's a lot of work and learnings to go with it as well. One of the most important things I've learned is that we always need a coach and a mentor, regardless of our knowledge base, no matter how much we know, and especially when we're transitioning into something new. Find yourself a coach. Find yourself somebody who's willing to share with you, whether you pay them or not, what they did, the trials and tribulations they went through, and they're going to be a huge help to you. So I started to emulate some other entrepreneurs that I knew in the similar space. First thing I did was leverage my existing network because that was my comfort zone. That helped me through a bit of time period there until I moved into other areas which were completely unknown to me. I knew that I liked to speak, but I really had no idea about the speaking business behind it, let alone learn to speak on stage in front of hundreds and now thousands of people as a keynote is a whole different skill set. So these are all the learnings that you go through.
So how did you ever get your first speaking gig?
Good question. I leveraged going back to an association that I belonged to for those 30 years, which was Electro Federation. Like most industry verticals, they have federations. So I went back to the one that I paid into for years, and they were having their annual meeting, and I put together something which was called Evolution of the Customer. And it's how the customer has changed over the years due to two main factors. One, technology, and number two, different generations. We have 4 generations in the workplace now. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah.
So what I did was create a keynote speech around that and gave it to an audience, which I'll say I was pretty comfortable with because they were my peers for many years. So that was my first paid speaking engagement. And then as well, you just got to do the legwork. You got to get out there and you got to be part of associations. You have to go to your local boards of trade. You have to give before you get anything back.
Impressive. So what motivated you to want to really do this? Was it the love of wanting to help other people? And that was just like your motivation to keep driving you forward? Like what percentage of your mind was saying, I got to get back to the corporate world, man. I need that safety net. But no. I'm going to go in this direction.
Right. Good point. Yeah, no. Well, I can tell you it wasn't the money up front, doing very well in corporate for many years and things. One of my best buddies say to me, you sure you want to do this? You're a few years away from just ticketing out and riding that out, being in that age range and packaging out. And I said, no, I want to do this. I'm passionate about it. I lost my passion for what I was doing. And at that point I said, well, I don't want to ride it out. I don't want to be neutral for how many more years. And I really like to give back. Rick, that I've got 2 sons in their 20s. I had the opportunity to coach them because they happen to be good hockey players, which I never was. You saw me play. So somehow
better than me.
No, there were a lot at our school, and the names too. And you're still
we had some big names
and all the group, right?
Yeah.
Don't leave anybody out there. But the fact of the matter was I had the opportunity to coach them, and I really enjoyed coaching and teaching. and making them be the best that they could be and finding new and different ways to do that and seeing their success. I brought that back into the corporate world when I was a leader, and that's what I like to do now, to try and help people be successful in whatever, I say in my book, whatever mission or movement you're on, let's get you there, whatever it takes.
Absolutely. So if anybody's got any questions for Rick tonight, the other Rick, not me, but the other Rick here.
There it is. Ask him.
No, ask this guy. Feel free, just paste them down there in the comments. It'd be great. As always, everybody, we're a community here. Subscribe, make sure everybody's together on all these channels. If you're watching this afterwards, please check out everybody's channels and subscribe. You can find how amazing the interest in the content really is. So Dave, Hidden Freedom Investing, has got your first question. Rick, how much does a keynote speaker make per gig?
Okay, good question. It can be a scale. And to start with, expect not to get paid. In fact, expect really that what's going to happen with you is that you're going to give to get. And you're going to go on stage, and sometimes you may even be paying yourself to get in front of the audience just to start getting recognition out there. Once you get into it more, in general, you're looking between $2,000 and $5,000 for a speaking gig, depending on the level that you're at. There's jumps. Then you make a jump, usually between up to about 7,500, and the large payout that you want to get to, if possible, is around 10 grand. And that's usually for the larger audiences, and depending on what value you're bringing to the audience, there has to be very strong value there. Sometimes you sell from stage. So if you have online programs like I do, workshops that I have as well, come the end of my keynote, I can pitch those a little bit to people and have them sign up for those. So for those gigs, I would get paid less. But that's a little bit of a pay range for you that gives you a little bit of idea. I'm just grabbing for something here that I was going to show. Sorry, Rick, we're moving around here. So what I also wanted to show was, if I could, so at one of my speaking engagements, I hand out these cards.
Okay.
And these cards help me interact with the audience, because one of the things that I talk about, got to get this up close for you there, is punching through growth ceilings. And I'll tell you a story about that dude in the red that happens to be me. So PUNCH, I have people fill in. How are you going to punch through your growth ceiling and reinvent yourself to who you want to be? And then, of course, at the end, the barcode's there for them to scan. Then they jump on my website. I'm hoping that, they'll pick up a copy of the book, sign up for an online program, something like that. So that adds a little bit to the revenue that we can generate as a speaker. So it can be several fold how you do that.
Nice. What's the most amount of people that you've spoken in front of so far?
850.
Good for you.
Thanks. We're in Toronto 2 years ago. Yeah.
Nice. Did you have to picture them all being naked?
No, that didn't work for me. The funny thing is, when there's more speakers than just me as well, I sit through their speeches and their talks, and I try and pull out little elements of it and dovetail them quickly into mine at the beginning, ease the audience a little bit, and go from there. But it is different speaking to a room of 40 and a room of 400, because you move from dialogue to monologue, and that's not an easy shift at times.
Really? So what's the least amount that you've spoken in front of?
It was a snowy day back in January, and the room was to be filled. It was Mississauga Board of Trade. They had 85 people signed up, and 6 people showed up. Not 66. 6 people showed up. And here's the interesting thing. You got this big letdown and so on, but you don't. You get out there and you perform the way that you would if you were in front of 600 people. And that's the key too. You got to bring that enthusiasm. You have to bring and share that passion with the people that drove through a snowstorm to get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So are you focusing more on the corporate sector or on that personal growth?
Question. It's a good question. And my coach, and I have one now too, just in conversation the other day, said, you know what? You got to pick a path. The revenue generating for me right now is much stronger in the corporate area.
Yeah.
I do there and workshops and things like that. But my direction that I want to get to is really promoting my book and helping out individuals more and more, which lends itself to workshops and such.
Got it. Excellent. Okay.
A little bit, I've come to a fork in the road, Rick, and like Yogi Berra said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. So I need to do that at some point.
Yeah, you have to figure out which direction you want to go. Let's talk about your book. So from what I understand, one of the best sellers right now on Amazon.
Yeah, so the book here, I'm going to grab it for us. The book's up on Amazon, as well as, oh yeah, you got it there. Look at you. I love that.
You got a print though. You never sent me a copy yet. No, that's my mistake. To buy a copy.
Interestingly enough, COVID has even impacted printers. So right now it's hard to get printed copies. Now,
wow.
So to answer your question, available on the Kindle, on the ebook on Amazon. You can also order the print copy on Amazon or on my website, www.rickdenley.com. And you'll get it in about a week. So it is available now. Rick, I'm going to sign and get you a copy of it.
Woohoo! Wow.
So the book, you know what, the book, yeah, the book as well. I mean, it went #1 bestseller for me back April 9th, which happened to be my launch day, which happened to be my birthday. So that was a good birthday present. Yeah, thank you. So, you know, why the book? You know, one of the reasons was that a speaker needs a book. To be honest, that's why people say, well, have you written a book? It brings credibility to you, but it also allows you to really connect with your audience. So I said, well, you know, what am I going to write about? And the timing has been great right now with, unfortunately, COVID, because nothing's going to be the same when we go back. People right now are reinventing themselves to stay at home. And that's difficult and different than anything we've done. When we go back to work, it's going to be different as well. And we're going to need to reinvent ourselves. And why I chose reinvention is because when I look back over my life, both personally and career-wise, I've had to reinvent myself several times. And I wanted to share that with people. I found a great formula for success that's in the book too, when I talk about skills, knowledge, and tools that you need, combined with grit. And when we talk about grit, what we're talking about is both passion and persistence. And Angela Duckworth wrote a book about it. She's a Harvard grad in psychology. And what she found out is that within successful people, organizations, whether it be sports, individuals, businesses, you can have all that you need in skills, tools, and knowledge, but without grit, you won't be successful. So I wrote the book. The book is based around my stories and also a few other contributing authors. And then it's really a why, what, how, and when. And that's how it's structured. It's a blueprint for success for people that, like I said, are going through any mission or movement, and it will help you get there. It will create a plan that will withstand that punch in the face.
Yeah, so I know you're an avid boxer.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Great for you. And you're doing a charity. You're doing charity box just a while ago, weren't you? You want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Rick. That's good. So I tell about the story about me transitioning, and I kept playing hockey as bad as I was at it for years with my buddies. And come just over a year ago, I stopped playing hockey so I could focus on something. I wanted to do something different. So I started martial arts in Muay Thai. Now, Rick, I know you're big on martial arts.
Yep.
And I wanted to learn more about it and the discipline that went with it and do something different. So I did. And I got into Muay Thai kickboxing. And from that, a buddy of mine, a month into that, said, look, you really need to do this. And I said, what's that? He said, there's something called Fight to End Cancer. And they take regular Joes like me with no experience in the sport, train you to become a fighter, sign an amateur card, and go in an actual bout. And the idea is to raise funds and awareness to fight cancer. And it's for Princess Margaret, one of the top 5 cancer research centers in the world. So I took that on because I also wanted to do a little bit of philanthropy. And how do I go about doing that? So it combined 2 things for me. And as well, it was definitely a reinvention of myself. As much as we think we have skill sets, you learn that in some ways you don't. So I took on this task, became an amateur fighter through some really good coaching, through a group that sponsors this and heads it up down at Kingsway Boxing Club in Etobicoke, just south of where we grew up, Rick.
Yeah.
And Verge there are brilliant, and they took 10 of us, and they've been doing this for about 8 or 9 years now as well, so they know what they're doing. So again, understand, during my reinvention, I needed a coach. I wasn't just walking in there cold. So I had a coach for 8 months. It coached and trained me through this reinvention of myself. And what I learned in that, I put into the book as well through different stories and learnings, because there's repeatable winning process to reinventing yourself. Whether it be personal or career. So that's why the book has become a bit of a blueprint to help people do that.
Good for you. Good for you. So apart from your own book, which again, where can we get that, Rick? I didn't catch it the first time. Where is it?
Amazon, both .can.com and at my website, www.rickdenley.com.
Excellent. And it's also on my website, the healthentrepreneurchannel.com. Right beside Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It made it up to the top ranks there. So either place.
I'm very happy. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it very much, you promoting the book. It's for helping people.
Excellent. Excellent. I highly advise it. I haven't read it yet, but I hear nothing but great reviews on it. So apart from your own book, tell me about 3 other books that motivated you or pushed you in the positive direction. What are 3 books? That you can say
Geez, you know what? There's a bunch of different ones out there. I'm trying to think right now, some of them. The one that I mentioned to start with, Angela Duckworth, called Grit. It's worth looking up. The stories there that she tells of people being successful in the passion, that's a beautiful read. So you want to have a look at that one. Next one I would say would be Greg Brown, local Toronto boy, created a book on change. And it really helped me understand. Now, mine's a bit about change, but he goes into great detail on how we can change ourselves in any given situation. And he's a great speaker as well, Greg Brown. So I would look his up also. And then, interestingly enough, for writing style, although it's not on my topic, it would be a good friend of mine for many years. Bob Gignac wrote a book, and it's called Rich is a State of Mind. And it tells an entire story, and within this story, it's like your Rich Dad type of book. It tells a story and teaches people about finances in more common terms. But he's dovetailed a beautiful story around it as well to help people. So it's not just a bunch of pages of graphs and things. So if I were to choose 3 books, those would be them, right?
Nice. Good answer. So what do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur now?
Working 40 hours instead of, working 100 instead of
hours. And so, right?
Oh, you got your own time, time's your own, and so on. Yeah, so I'm working double what I used to.
Yeah, no kidding.
But you can if you're passionate. And that's about, I enjoy every day I get up now. Do I have flexible hours? Yeah. You know, some days I get up at 7 instead of 6. But you work all different hours, the travel, the people that I'm meeting, that's all brilliant. And I must admit, being able to be accountable for everything that happens myself is very important. You know, there's some autonomy that comes with that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so you got into becoming an entrepreneur, you know, just a few years ago, whatnot. If you had seen, like, you know, what you're doing now, would you have done this obviously like a lot sooner in life? Like, at what age group would you have considered probably being an entrepreneur then?
Yes. I thought about that one time, because in my book, I talk about timing. And there's always excuses, and I address them all in the book. Well, you know, I'll wait till I have more money. I'll wait till I have more time. You know, I'll wait till they're grown and out of the house. You come up with whatever excuse you want, but that's what they are, as excuses. Yeah, I should have. And everybody I talk to, for the most part, says this too. I should have done this 10 years ago. Seems to be the round number. A decade ago, I should have taken the leap then, but didn't have the confidence, didn't have the understanding, didn't have a plan. Get a plan. Put together a blueprint like this, and you'll feel more confident, because in the book, I address common barriers for people. And once they address them, they're not so hidden. You're going to be successful at the end of the day, because you've looked ahead to solve them even before they happen. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So tell me one of your greatest challenges that you came across in order to become an entrepreneur, getting away from the corporate world to become an entrepreneur. What was one of the biggest and greatest challenges you had to face in order to keep going and continue making that leap? Geez, that's a good question. Well, thanks. Thank you. What was one of the largest challenges that I had to overcome becoming an entrepreneur? You know what, Rick? It's a lot of what people are going through right now. It's actually very lonely. And as much as you think you have a circle of friends, as much as you think that you've got this network and things, you really don't. And since I was moving into an area that is different than what I did for 30 years in some ways, I didn't know the business of speaking and keynotes and writing, becoming an author. I didn't know any of that. So one of the biggest challenges for me was that loneliness. And when you have to walk only 20 feet to your office instead of driving a half hour, and you meet nobody except my dog, which is great. I love my dog, Rusty. But as far as a conversationalist, it's pretty much a monologue. And, there's a loneliness to it that you need to be aware of and compensate for and build your network quickly so that you don't have that loneliness like you're out on an island on your own. There's a bit of a challenge there for sure. Why I relate it to today is because people right now with COVID, you're staying inside, you might be alone, not getting out as much. It's not easy. And it's very, I'll say not easy, but it's comfortable just to get too comfortable and not do the work that needs to get done on a daily basis. You're not reporting to anybody but yourself.
Absolutely.
There's a large amount of discipline that's necessary. Being an entrepreneur takes a lot of discipline. I talk about it in my book because reinventing yourself takes a lot of discipline. There's characteristics that you can work on to help you become stronger in that area of reinventing yourself, which really dovetail into being an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah, I think your book being released during this COVID time right now is perfect timing. Because I would think that a lot of people got obviously there was a lot of them got that time right now to actually sit back and go, hang on for a sec. I might not be going back to that job anymore. Or I've got some time now to focus on a dream on the side. Are you speaking to people in this situation right now to coach them and help them get motivated to start doing their dream?
Starting to. Right now, we've all leveled off, and what we've done is we found a coping mechanism and saying, okay, you know what? We're doing okay at this, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're doing Zoom calls, whether you're not working at all, whether you're not ripping your hair out because you're home with the kids. We have now reinvented ourselves. So the brain already started to rewire itself, saying, okay, yeah, I can do that. Now it's going to be the understanding whenever we start to head back to people going, oh no, it's not just going to be business as usual. And especially in the areas that I deal in sales and stuff, people have figured out ways to gain products different than what was before. And salespeople are going to have to really reinvent themselves into what people have expectations now. So I am already putting together the content for getting back to work. And I want to run some workshops for people to help them out. I have an individual one and I have a corporate one that'll be coming out on my website as well. And it's really to help people identify what changes have occurred, how are you going to change and adapt, and in fact, reinvent so that you will still be effective at what you do, even though it's different.
Absolutely. So have you got your plans, obviously through your website and whatnot? What are your plans, I should say, in regards to, you adapting to the changes of COVID? Because I'm sure the meetings of 100 people, 50 people, you're not going to be able to go up and do these speeches now for next few months, maybe a year.
Yeah, I had 4 major ones canceled across North America and one in Europe as well. So that was definitely disappointing, as everybody has been. But what people are finding out is that, okay, well, hey, hang on a minute. Maybe right now in the interim, even the next 6-8 months, I don't need that guy there in person. Now, I haven't got the hologram of me done yet, but that's probably next. But we're finding out that Zoom calls work really well. And next week, I took a 1-day workshop that I'm doing with an organization and created it and changed it into a Zoom call. I will have 12 people on that Zoom call and do my presentation as I would if I were there, give or take a little bit. I'll get the material to them electronically. We're making it work. The interesting part is people are going to realize, hang on a minute, that worked really well. And I didn't have to travel to do it either. So that's one of the adaptations I'm making right now to reinvent myself as a speaker and an author. I got one in 2 weeks. It's a book talk I'm doing, which was to be live as well, sign a whole bunch of books. Well, I couldn't do that, could I? So I've actually got some books being done in print. I'm going to sign them, ship them off. And at that point, they'll receive the book, and then we'll have our book talk that way. So I'm having to reinvent myself now. And guess what? That's going to change on and on over the next probably year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Absolutely. So what's your definition of being successful?
Oh, good question. Wow. And I actually ask that in some of my coaching sessions as well for people, because I want to know, what does success mean to you? Very often in society, we look at an individual and go, wow, that person is successful. And what do we usually base that on, Rick? The car, the house, the clothes, the money. Right down to the money. So the first thing I'd like to do is get people to understand, what does success look like to you? I can't help you until I understand what your end game is. What's your vision? And then let's re-engineer it backwards and figure out what are the steps to get there. It's one of the things that I like to do when I'm coaching with individuals and organizations. Think of wherever your end goal is, envision it, smell it, touch it, feel it. And then let's work it back to the steps, which you can do one by one so that you get to where you want to be. So success to me is whatever that individual wants to have. Right now, for me, success, obviously, personally wise, it's my kids, and I want to see them be successful in whatever they're striving towards. Their happiness is so important to me. And that folds over into my clients as well. Whatever their success is, I want to help them get to, whether it's financial independence, whether it's, getting that dream job, whether it's moving out of the dream job into something more independent themselves, whether it's completely changing their career in a different direction and reinventing themselves. So whatever they define as success, we'll get there. For me personally, I'll be honest with you, it's health and happiness and experiences. Like you said, we're over 50 now. I don't know how that happened, but I want as many experiences.
It happens. That's everybody.
Yeah, we can't have kids like my kids in their 20s and still be that age ourselves. So for me, it's life experiences as well. So I've gotten a little bit honed down now because I haven't been able to travel for a while and probably won't. So interesting you mentioned that. If people are on my Instagram, I'll just share that, by the way. It's Denley Rick. For my Instagram account, if you want to follow me, I just posted something because I saw in Japan, in Osaka, Japan, the castle there. I happened to visit that castle when the cherry blossoms were out in bloom as they are now. It's a fantastic picture that reminded me that was 24 years ago. 24 years ago, and I thought to myself, this is great, but I don't know if I appreciate it as much because these are moments in time that we may not get back. Things change. So we really have to appreciate all the moments that we have that make up our life. And to me, those experiences really become my happiness, which to me is success.
Excellent. Alex has got your second question of the night. What are the biggest lessons that you try to pass on to your kids?
Wow, good one. Good. These are toughies. It's funny because we talk to our kids and we speak to them and we look at them on occasion, especially when they're younger. And you'll get one of these. Watch me for a minute, Rick. You get one of these. Here goes Dad again.
Starting to happen now.
Even now, they're in their 20s. Oh, crap. Here we go. Here's another dadism. They have a word for it. Here's a dadism coming at them.
Nice.
But hopefully what they figure out is that over time, I'm just trying to share some of our experiences, right? Because that's all we've got in life is to share. So one of the biggest lessons I tried to teach my kids early on really is about change. And there's two types of change in life. The one that we initiate, the one that say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a change. I'm going to go from a hockey player to a fighter. I'm going to go from a corporate executive to an entrepreneur. Those changes we make ourselves self-accountable for. And I won't say they're easier, but they're a little bit more pushing us in that direction because we chose that. We stuck our neck out and yeah, I'm doing this, right? Then there's a type of change that comes our way that we didn't ask for. Like COVID. We didn't ask to be segregated in our homes and not be able to see our families and friends and do our jobs. But the lesson that I tried to teach them in that, and they've had, I'll say change come their way, my kids in their short lives right now that some people won't experience in a lifetime. And that's for them to share at their leisure. In fact, my one son, Max, is writing a book now. And it's going to be a great story on that. And his younger brother, Evan, had change come his way through major changes in his life because he was on the pathway to be a pro hockey player. And then 2 concussions put him out of that. Cool. So changes come our way that we don't ask for. But in either case, whatever change that you initiate or comes your way, you need to lead. You need to take ownership on. It's not enough to simply say, okay, yeah, I'm going to accept change. I'm going to embrace change. No, you need to lead that change. You have to get out in front of it, create a plan, and make it happen for yourself. And that to me is a very big learning. And you have to do it in a positive light. Change isn't difficult. Resistance to change is difficult. Don't resist change. Go with it. In fact, get out in front of it, lead it, and make it yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So where are most of, before COVID happened, where were most of your speaking gigs? In Canada, the US? Whereabouts were they?
There was a mix. Back just within the last year, I've traveled extensively with them across Canada. I was down in Mexico where a company was having their sales kickoff meeting and they had it down there. So I was down in there for a little while. But, you try to do a lot local as much as you can too. The board type ones are here locally. Different missions that I've talked on are locally, but some across Canada as well. The book, I'll mention, I'm working with a tremendous publisher. It's called Beyond Publishing. The gentleman's name is Michael Butler. And the reason that I chose them over just any publishing company is because Beyond Publishing also works with and gets their authors on stages. So I have gigs lined up whenever they come back. There's one in Guadalajara. There's one in UK. They're doing South Africa. So I'm going to travel quite a bit now and reach out and be able to help many more people globally, I'll say.
Definitely. So let's go through the process of this book. So, you know, of your book that you decided, I'm going to write it. How long did it take you to write it? Then what? How many publishing companies did you approach? And then how did you get it out to market? For anybody else that's watching right now, please, you know, let's elaborate on this. And if anybody's watching right now saying, hey, I'm considering writing a book in the future and whatnot, you know, get in contact with you. In fact, you can get, anybody wants to get in contact with Rick, he's on our Discord, thehelpfulentrepreneur.com, on the website. Go there.
Yeah, go to your website, go to Rick's website and look me up there and connect with me. You'll see
absolutely, on our Discord. But in the meantime, go through the process. I find this really interesting as well. So let's hear it.
Yeah, you know what? It was interesting because, again, you know, people that have known me or knew me in high school now are seeing me again. By the way, hi, it's been a few years. You look great. You know, what I wanted to share with you is, okay, I went through engineering, fine. And now what? He wrote a book? Wow, okay, that's different too. I didn't know I'd write a book, but I did love to tell stories. And really, that's what my book is about. It's about all different stories of reinventing myself, others reinventing themselves, that I hope people would connect with. So I had these different stories rattling around in my head. I wrote a few, I did a few articles, and then it came to be time for a book. And my buddy said, you got a lot of those stories. Why don't you just put them together, put a structure around it and see what you can come up with? Then I thought of my success formula that I talked about, sales, when I look at the skills, tools, and knowledge combined with grit. And I based the book around that and then started putting the stories into some categories. But really how the book came to be is that I just wanted to write something to get all that out to others. I can't possibly talk about it in 1 hour when I do a keynote on stage. So there had to be a lot more information there. Then I combined exercises in the book. So as the reader goes through the book, the exercises help them develop their blueprint and plan to reinvent themselves and be successful. It's not about me. My sharing is just to give them an example. They have their own idea that they're trying to get across and change. And at the end of the book, that's what they have. They have a plan to do that. So really, that's how I went about writing the book. It took me about a year to write because I was trying to make a living in the background. You know, and then finally it took a big push. And the big push came when I felt I had a good structure. I had stories. I set a date 6 months out from when I wanted to launch the book, and then started working towards that deadline. I worked with a writing coach again, because you know what? We should. They know better than us. They pushed me how much I needed to write to get it done. And I stuck to that type of a plan. You know, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. And I was glad that I had assistance to do it. But again, you just have to have passion to do it. Why are you writing the book? I also felt it was a bit of my legacy. Let's get some of those stories out there so that they remain somewhere forever, that they don't die with me.
Yeah, definitely. So how many companies did you approach in order to get it published first?
Good question. Now I paid to have it published. So nobody paid me to write the book. So I went that route. A learning curve again, and I created a 3-page document I'm happy to send to people on my take on writing a book and what it took. So I looked at the different things that I needed, and basically I went ahead and then wrote the book and got it done. Then I found somebody to copy, edit it for me, which is really just spelling and grammar. I didn't need the structure done. I'd done all that. And then from there, you need somebody to publish it. And I joined with, as I mentioned, Beyond Publishing, Michael Butler, because he can publish a book for me. He's putting me on stages. He's putting me on a lot of broadcasts. He has a foolproof plan for getting you in front of organizations to sell the book. Obviously on Amazon was one. It comes out in Target, Barnes & Noble, Indigo Chapters. It's coming out to all those stores as well. So I wanted that distribution engine behind me. So that's the reason that I chose them. I reviewed when it came right down to it, I reviewed 3. I narrowed it to 3 and then chose one from there. And I didn't choose the cheapest one. I chose the one that got me to where I wanted my objectives to be met.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Victor's got a question for you here.
Yeah.
Writing a book at the moment. I am done with the manuscript. Can you recommend me a good editor and proofreading? I will publish via Amazon.
Excellent. Okay, Victor, great question. Yeah, Victor, I'm going to go with my Beyond Publishing, Michael Butler. Go to my website. You'll see all the information there from my book. I'm happy to make an introduction to you as well. So if you want to jump on Instagram, Denley Rick, follow me there. I'll connect with you, and I'll put you and Michael Butler together, and you can see if he's the right publisher and editor for you. I believe he is. So.
Very, very generous of you, Rick. That's great. Hopefully that helps you out, Victor. That'd be great. Great to see. You ever plan upon retiring?
Sorry, what's that?
Plan upon, yeah, no kidding. The R word? What?
Oh, no, to be upfront with you, I'm not. If I planned to be retired, I would have been one of those people counting the days and stayed corporate. And I would have gotten to that goal, if that were my goal, much faster. And probably would have gotten there within about a year now. I could have been out at 55 probably for what I wanted, my lifestyle. No, I don't want to retire. I'm not one to sit around. And even when you retire, you don't sit around. I've created an organization now, an offering that I feel I can scale up or down as much as I like and work as much as I want going forward, or as little as I want as well. That was one of my goals, to live a lifestyle that I wanted. The main 2 reasons for leaving and becoming an entrepreneur: I can help more people, and I want to live the lifestyle that I want.
Nice. Okay, so no retirement in your near future or far future.
I got too much going on.
Describe yourself 5 years from now, then.
5 years from now. 5 years from now, I want to be on international stages. I want to have 2 more books written as well. Don't ask me the topics. And I want to have those books written. I want to be on international stages. And I want to be helping thousands of people and speaking in front of thousands. Look, Tony Robbins just turned 60. He's on his way out. Somebody's got to replace a guy.
Go for it. Take over, Tony.
Right?
Go for it. That'd be amazing.
Exactly. So somebody's got to replace a guy and others. So that's where I want to be in 5 years. I want to be on more stages, bigger stages, helping more people. A lot of workshops, a lot of programs, so that people can get through, like I said, whatever mission, movement they're on to be their best.
Okay, so let's describe yourself 5 years from now. What are some of your bigger goals that you've got up here that you want to accomplish over the next few years?
Goals are interesting things, and I really like setting them and going for them. Obviously, becoming an amateur fighter and stepping in the ring and raising funds and awareness for cancer was a big goal. I had to dedicate 8 months of my life to that. Whatever spare time I had being an entrepreneur, I was at the gym. So we need to set our goals, and of course we want them to be realistic in how we go about our goal setting. Goals for me like that. I want to have traveled to all the continents on the earth to start with, so that's one goal of mine. So I want to get all those as well. The publish and speaking thing is a big one for me too. And really it's about experiences. You know, there's a few nuggets in the back of my head rattling around too that I want to accomplish while I'm physically able to as well. You know, am I going to climb Machu Picchu? Maybe something like that. I don't want to do Everest. That's just too much work, too much danger. I need to lower the danger in my life. And, becoming an amateur boxer. All right, that's different. But no, those are just a few of the goals that I'm looking for right now. The other one is that I want to be sure that, you know, I maintain key relationships in my life. I'm fortunate enough to have my parents around still. They're in their 80s, living in the home I grew up in Etobicoke, Rick. So, you know, they go around, which is great. Look after them as needed, as they age. My kids, I want to be there for them as they grow and formulate their lives too. So that's what I want to do in the next few years.
Nice. So what are some of the mistakes that you made in the past that you wish that you could have avoided?
I didn't make any mistakes. I thought I did once, but I was wrong.
You were wrong. Yeah. Of course not.
Take a drink and think about this for a minute.
Think about it. You know.
Well, you know what? One of the things I'd say is that I didn't pursue some of my dreams soon enough. I really encourage people to pursue their dreams. And it was, I'll tell you why in my case, it was because I fell into what I felt society thought was right for me. And, there is a certain formula that society likes. Do this, then do that, then do that. I mean, for us, Rick, if I'm not mistaken, it was, okay, go to school, go to post-secondary, get a degree of some sort, get a good job.
Of course, yeah.
Meet someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, be with them, get married, buy a house, then consider kids. Like all these steps were lined up for your society. I'm not saying go out and break the rules too much, but what I am saying is if you have dreams, pursue your dreams. I was asked earlier tonight about one of the things and the lessons that I like to teach my kids. I'm pretty sure they'll tell you that I'm hugely supportive of their dreams. One is, both graduated school and so on, which is great, but they have other dreams and ambitions that they're pursuing, which are outside of theirs, right? One being a musician right now and in a band and leading that up. That's where his passions are. The other one, such an incredible individual in helping others in different places of society that have challenges that he's experienced, and he's giving back. So for me, I'd say chase the dreams. Don't put them aside till later. Make them your priority. Chase those dreams now.
Yeah, definitely. So what habits have made you successful and made you take that leap?
Oh, habits. Wow.
Habits of yours.
Good habits, right?
Of course. Or bad habits that motivate you in a positively way. You never know.
A few. And a few of them were learnings for me too. Habits. First off, look after yourself. Physically and mentally, that's very important. Now more than ever. If you're not good physically and mentally, you're not going to be good for yourself or anybody else. There's a reason why when you sit in the airplane and they go through their whole spiel about where the exits are, the IOA lights and everything else, they say that if the oxygen level drops and the compression in the plane and so on, oxygen masks drop from the ceiling. What do they ask you to do?
Put it on first.
Put yours on first. Why? Because if you're not good, you can't help other people. Look after yourself first. That's huge. So develop good habits. Some of mine, definitely, I get up similar time every day, regardless of what my day holds for me. I do some stretching and exercises and some mindfulness to start my day. Dog walking is one of them. Get out there early and commit to that. So look after yourself, physically and mentally. Other good habits. Have goals. Set them. Write them down. I have some of mine on the wall here. I'm not going to share with you right now, but they fall into that 5-year plan. And I love vision boards. Put it out there.
Yeah.
You need to put things out to the universe if they're going to happen. Once you put it out there, the wheels start in motion, even if it's just commitment and accountability to yourself. So put them out there, plan for them, put them up on a vision board, have some fun, cut out a whole bunch of things from magazines and paste them everywhere, whatever it might be.
Sure.
And those are good habits as well. Feedback, bury your ego. Very tough thing to do. Get rid of your ego and make sure that you are open to feedback from people that are credible. The people that aren't credible that want to give you feedback, don't listen. Winston Churchill said that if we stop for every dog that barks at us, we'll never get where we're going.
I've heard that one before. That's a good one.
Yeah. Ignore the dogs that are barking that have no content or relevance. Find yourself mentors that have been there, that are successful, and emulate yourself after them. There's nothing wrong with that. Copying is flattery, so go after that.
Yeah, definitely. Follow the real deals. So have you ever turned down a speaking engagement?
Have I ever turned down a speaking engagement? Only when the reciprocity wasn't going to be there for me. A lot of times they say, well, come speak and that'll help you sell your books. That'll help you sell this. No, understand the value that you hold and don't let anybody belittle it, whether that be in a relationship or in your business. You have value. Make sure that you hold yourself very high. Have a high esteem. So have I turned down a speaking engagement? A couple times when they didn't see the value in what I was bringing.
Interesting. So there's a lot of speakers out there and whatnot. So how do you separate yourself from the other speakers?
Interesting, because I've had people say, so you're a motivational speaker. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not a motivational speaker. I speak with motivation, but I'm not a motivational speaker who really comes out and they're all rah, and they really get you all pumped up. Not as much content, but you go out of there pretty damn excited. That can be good at times. And I like motivational speakers at the right time, at the right event. But for myself, no, what was the question, Rick? I've lost it. See, I'm off somewhere else.
How do you separate yourself from other speakers?
Right. What's the value add that I bring? What's my unique value proposition that I bring? It's very strong content, dovetailed around real life experience. It brings me credibility.
Good.
With some fun stories, and that's the motivational part. Real stories that people can relate to when I'm speaking from stage. And remember too, when we're speaking from stage, it's not about us. It's not about me. I'm trying to get them to a different place. And when I'm telling my story, they're actually thinking about stories in their lifetime that relate to themselves. That's the key. If I can get them thinking about themselves and generating their own thought patterns and having a bit of fun while doing it, and they leave with some actionables through the emphasis that I give them and the enthusiasm and the motivation, that's really how I differentiate myself.
Good, good. So everybody, you guys have been listening to Rick talk for the last 50 minutes. If you have any questions, now you guys got to know him a bit more. If you have any questions, please post it there. We'll post it up here and he'll answer your questions absolutely right away. How do you deal with failure? We all fail from time to time. How do you deal with it?
I use a phrase for people that I've incorporated into my own lifestyle, and I say fail forward. Okay, you know, we won't fail. And failure, let me tell you something. If you're not taking risk, you won't fail. And there's people that sit back and, boy, yeah, I've never failed. Well, no, of course not. You didn't take any risks. You know, if you're a sports fan again and you're on first base, you never tried to steal second. Why? Because at some point you're out there in no man's land where there's risk. You're not safe anymore standing on first. So if you're not failing, you're not growing, you're not stretching yourself, more than likely you're not going to achieve the goals that you have in your head either. So failure is not a bad thing, but I encourage people to fail forward, right? Learn from our failures so you don't repeat them and fail forward to the next one. The other thing I'll say is when you do fail, fail often and fail quickly and then move on, okay? Don't perseverate over your failure. It's in the past. You can't change it. Learn from it and move forward. I guarantee you, anybody you can name that is successful at what they do failed first. And failed many times. I don't care who you're going to name, whether it be politicians, sports people, Elon Musk, I don't care who it is. They failed many times first to get to where they are. If you don't fail, you won't learn what you need to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. So on that note, what bit of advice would you give somebody that's starting out that wants to be a speaker and a motivator out there for other people? What bit of advice would you give them?
The plan first is big. Make sure that you do put together a pretty solid plan. Make it flexible. It's going to change. It's going to take some shots to the face as well, right? But make sure that you do have some sort of plan. Don't do it on your own. Don't be on an island. Don't try and be a hero. That's the ego piece. Put it aside. Ask for help. Ask for help from people that have been there. Even if they're just one step ahead of you, that's one step more knowledge, experience, and failures that they've had that they'll try and keep you away from. So get that mentor. Get a mentor, get a plan in place, and move forward.
Definitely. Alex, Blood Phantom 81's got a question for you. Your favorite motivators / speakers.
Wow, good question. Favorite motivator / speakers. Well, mentors. Let me start with mentors. If I can augment the question a little bit. Would be Richard Branson from Virgin. Okay, a lot of reasons that I like Richard Branson, his approach to things and how he does them. He's a very empathetic leader, a very planned leader, a very thoughtful type of leader. So I do like that as well. Motivational speakers that I like, I mentioned Tony Robbins. He's good. He's a pump up, which is good. It's not my style. I'm more of a Robin Sharma. So if you're familiar with Robin Sharma and his books, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, Leaders Without a Title. Robin Sharma is one to follow. Why? Because he brings the content as well. He doesn't only motivate, but he brings content that you can use. That I find very useful. So those would be a couple to follow.
Excellent. Excellent. What do you value most in other people?
Sincerity. I like to deal with people that are sincere right up front from the beginning. It's a very important characteristic for me. I don't like people that are false. I don't like people that are made up in all different ways. Sincerity is very important to me right from the start.
Excellent. When are you most productive?
Mornings. Mornings are my most productive time. I don't know how you kept me up this late. It's ridiculous. strong tea to keep me going. Yeah, I'm one of those ones you hate in the morning. Get to bed at a reasonable time, and if I get a solid 5 hours sleep, I'm good. So I can get up and get moving, and I like to start my day very active, try and eat right as well, and get going. So I'll try and get most of my challenging tasks that I need a lot of energy done before 11 o'clock, because I'll start to fade after that, and then I'll need a bit of rejuvenation as well. So morning times for me.
Excellent. So how do you motivate yourself? Because being an entrepreneur, you have to be self-motivated. Nobody's calling you up or knocking on your door to say, move, get going, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you're always constantly figuring things out. I mean, the list is endless. How do you self-motivate yourself?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think I'm fortunate in some ways that I've had that in me as long as I can remember, being self-motivated. I used to love sports, as you know, and still do, but I also got into individual sports. I used to do triathlons, and those are things that really, it's not a team sport. So self-motivation goes a long way in those. Self-motivation. I set small goals every day for myself. It's kind of like a to-do list, but it's just 3 things. And that's what I tell people too. First off, when you get up in the morning, write down a few things. First off, what you're grateful for, which is very important, showing gratitude right away. Whatever you're grateful for, to start on a positive note, no negatives to start with. I read instead of turning the TV on in the morning too, a little bit of something motivational there. And then I carve out 3 goals for the day. What are they? And they don't have to be massive. They just have to be things that move you forward in whatever you're doing. That helps motivate me. I used to make my goals for the day, the week, and so on much too large, and it was exhausting. Don't exhaust yourself. You don't have to all the time. Stay high energy, produce, and be successful at 3 things every day.
Excellent. Excellent. Describe yourself in 3 words.
3 words. I only get 3?
I only get 3. Sorry, buddy.
I'm going to start with the one that's very important to me. Definitely sincere.
Good.
Giver. And still a dreamer.
Ah, good for you. Sorry?
Still dreaming.
Still dreaming. Hey, keep the dream alive. Keep going on it. Stay motivated, stay focused every day, man. It's a brand new day.
Usually before these shows, they give me the questions ahead of time. I wasn't ready for all these, but anyway, well done.
Yeah. How many books have you read in the past year? I know you've been working on yours, obviously, quite a bit, but in the past year, how many other people's books have you read?
If we go back, can I stretch the question again to 2 years?
You can take this wherever you want to, right?
I know, I tend to do that, play with the rules.
That's fine with me.
In the last 2 years, I've read more books than I did in my entire life. I'll be honest, upfront and sincere that throughout my education in high school especially, I never finished a book. I read the front, the back. For those that are our age, I read Cole's notes. I never finished a book. Now I love to read. I love information, and I'm going to answer your question here, and I'm not even sure if I can't see my book. Can you? I'm gonna
hang on. Hold on. Let's see if I can expand over here.
Right over here. Okay, there's my bookshelf.
Nice.
And those 2. Can I point here too? Those 2 rows there are the books that I've read in the last 2 years, and I keep them on those shelves for that reason. How many are there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15. 25. 25. Wow. Going with 25 is a rough number.
Good for you. That's impressive. Oh, wow.
I'm impressed, but I can't finish one book at a time. So I usually have 2 or 3 on the go with some sticky notes in them. Because I get bored. Thank goodness back in our day they weren't as good at labeling ADHD and all those things, because I probably
yes. So everybody joining us now or stream now, Rick and I went to high school together. Yeah. And, this guy was a big athlete, man. Football team, hockey team. I was on the cross country, tried out for the hockey team.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun playing those sports, didn't we?
Yeah. That was great back in the day. That was only a few years ago. So like we were saying earlier, just a few years ago. Tell me something that you've learned in the past week.
In the past week? What have I learned in the past week which has benefited me?
Yep.
Okay, this one's got me stumped a little bit here. In the past week,
You can always say pass.
I'm gonna go with a quote here because it's really true, and I overcame something major. I won't share what it is right now. Probably be in my next book for you. I'm going to say that every obstacle yields to stern resolve. So no matter what you're going through, as long as you're focused and stern about getting over it, getting through it, getting beyond it, you can do it. And that quote actually is from Leonardo da Vinci, who, if your next question is who my favorite inventor and philosopher is, that's who it is.
That was my next question. How'd you know?
Got it.
There you go. Done. Excellent. All right. So it's been an hour. If anybody's got any questions for Rick, shoot it out there now. I said I was going to try and keep it that close to an hour, and it has been. So closing remarks, Rick, what would you like to send out there? I know if you want to mention your Instagram, my apologies, I didn't put that up along the bottom. Let me get the banner going here again as well.
Yeah, sure.
Reach out to you.
People can reach out to me, and I want people to reach out to me, even if it's for a chat. I love to talk to people. You can text me, however it works. Instagram, Denley Rick. Look me up on LinkedIn. There's information there. Rick, you've got my book up on your website. And what's that?
Yep, it's right along the bottom here, the healthentrepreneurchannel.com. Rick's also part of our Discord, so you just want to message him right away.
Yeah.
Jump on the homepage of the healthentrepreneurchannel.com. Have him join. He's in there. Message him, comment. I mean, get into a great discussion with him there as well. So
yeah, get on to me there as well. And I'm happy to talk people through things and answer questions that they have. If I can help you, connect you with other people. One of the main things I do too is really be a connector. I've managed to build quite a large network in different areas, from past things I've done to present things, whether you're writing a book, whether you're looking to reinvent yourself, any of that I'm happy to connect you to. So however you want to get a hold of me, let's do it.
That's amazing. Two Ricks that love helping out other people.
Yeah.
That's really, really impressive, especially from, both of us, I guess, anybody out there that does that. That's really, I just love seeing this. I love it. So excellent. So closing remarks, that's pretty much about it, I guess, unless anybody else has got anything else to ask. Just while we're drinking these. What are
they asking now?
A question for you. How do you stay so well groomed during these times? So
much Phantom 81. Wow, thanks. I'm not sure that I am. I'm not at the level that I want to be at, but that's part of COVID. So again, put the ego aside. So no, we're all doing the best we can in that regard. So really, it's because the hair doesn't grow back anymore. This is it. It stays the same. So
yeah, hey, I don't have much to worry about there. So hey, likewise, man.
I have what I've got right now. So no, you want one more closing remark? I'll give it to people here, and I'm going to read it so I get it verbatim. But listen, there's something that you must always remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. So stay with it.
That's good. That's good. That's really good. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Everybody stay safe out there. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to do this every 2 weeks now. So next time we'll see you, we'll be on Creator Talk next Thursday. So Rick, thanks a lot for joining us.
Everybody, thanks for having me, Rick. It was fantastic.
Absolutely. Go and grab his book right behind me, Reinvent Yourself, Rick Denley, on Amazon. There you go. Reach out to him on my Discord if you want to connect with him, and message him there and get in contact with him that way. All right, guys, everybody, have a great night. Stay safe.
Thanks, Rick.